All right, so we are on our last section. Okay. Last 110 you have to do. Okay. So Monday will be review day, and then a week from today will be test 3. So we have 3 more formulas to deal with. And sadly, I know you're tired of formulas. Probably I'm tired of teaching formulas too. So, we got three more. We're gonna pay off some credit card debt today, and then we're gonna buy a car, and then buy a house, okay, and then we'll be done. So, anybody think of anything else? Any kind of other questions or anything before we get going? Okay. Yep. Yeah, formula. Yeah, I'll give you formula sheet for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have all these memorized, so I don't expect you to memorize all of these. Yeah. I can't think of many people that would have all these memorized, so we're not gonna worry about it. So, we're focusing on borrowing money. Okay, we focused on saving money last time, so we're gonna focus on borrowing money this time. Do have a few vocabulary terms just kind of scattered around as we need them in this section. They're not. You don't necessarily have to write the definitions down on those. I just want you to have seen the term before. You've run into it in life. So we've got a couple, and then we'll see our first formula. So first definition we have is of a grace period. Okay, you'll see these on student loans, things like that sometimes. So a grace period is just a time when you still owe the money, but your balance is not accruing interest. Okay? So a lot of times on not all student loans, but a lot of student loans will give you like a 6-month grace period after you graduate. So you'll have 6 months where you don't have to make payments and you're not accruing interest before you have to start paying. I want you to see that one, and then the next one is really pretty self-explanatory. We probably don't have to have a vocabulary slide for this. That's minimum payment. This is typical of credit cards and a few other things. They will give you a minimum payment based on your balance. So that's the smallest amount that you're required to pay each month. And really bring this up here because even though they give you a minimum payment to pay, that's not really what you want to be paying each month. You typically want to be paying more than the minimum payment, and we'll see why in just a minute. So our first formula, okay, it's not quite as bad as it looks. Okay, it does look pretty bad. I'll be honest with you on that one. Okay, so it's pretty bad. The thing that makes it look so bad is the top and the bottom are both inside of a logarithm. So that's just one more button push on those. Okay, so it's really not as bad as it looks. Okay. And so the formula for how many payments it would take us to pay off a credit card. We've already seen the numbers that go along with this. So N, how many payments we're making a year. Typically that's going to be 12. R is our interest rate in decimal form again. PMT is the payment we're making every month. The only thing that may be a little different here is A, we're using to represent the total amount we owe. And then we do have those logarithms involved here. Okay, so the fact that these are inside of a logarithm makes it a little messier. Okay, so I'll show you how I type it in, and then you can go with that or figure out your own way if you want to. Okay, so these formulas also, it's probably a 9.3 as well. When you're working in Hawks, there's a little link in the problems where you can click on it and it'll pop the formulas up. Okay, that belong to that section, so that helps. Okay. All right, so let's use this thing. We're only going to do one with it. Let's look at this one. It says assume that we want to buy a new computer. Costs $2,200. We're going to use a credit card that has an APR of 19.99%. Part A is where we need our formula. It says how long will it take you to pay off the computer if you make regular monthly payments of $40. So maybe that's like our minimum payment. Okay. So since it asks us how long, another way of saying that is how many payments, or how many monthly payments would you have to make. So that's where our formula comes into play. And then part B we'll look at after we get that number. Okay. So the total amount that we owe is A in our formula. That's the one that's maybe a little different. We have an APR of 19.99%, so that means R will be 0.1999. Okay. And then we're making a monthly payment of $40, so 40 will be what we use for PMT. Again, it's monthly, so N will be 12. So none of that's too terrible. It's just takes a minute to actually get our number out of our calculator. So let's work on that. I'm going to write the formula down again, and then we'll fill in the numbers. So for whatever reason, R is what we're using to represent how many payments we're making. So that's negative logarithm, and inside there we have 1 minus R over N times A over PMT. Okay. And then on the bottom, we have another logarithm, and inside it is 1 plus R over N. So typically I'm a big fan of typing as much in your calculator at once as you can, because then you don't have to write numbers down. You don't have that potential to make a mistake there. The formulas today, I'm going to make exceptions on, because it's just so much. Okay, it's a lot to try to keep up with and get all the parentheses in the right place. If you have like a calculator with a nice big screen on it where you can see everything, then that's fine. Okay. Well, I'm going to break it down into pieces, okay, as I do it. So let's plug numbers in first. I got a little ahead of myself there. That's 1 minus 0.1999 over 12 times $2,200 divided by 40 over 1 plus 0.1999 over 12. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out the part inside the bracket on the top. and I'm going to write that number down. And then I'm going to figure out the part in the parentheses on the bottom, write that number down, and then just take the negative log of the top over the log of the bottom. Okay? So if we do that, though, we have to be careful. We have to keep a bunch of decimal places, because if not, we'll be a little bit off, okay, with our answer. So do 1 minus 0.1999 over 12 times 2200 over 40. And for that part, let me do a different color here. So in the brackets, get 0.08. I'm gonna leave 6 decimal places. 3792. Then in the bottom, in the parentheses, that one's not as bad, right? So 1 plus 0.1999 divided by 12. Get 1.016658. So then we need to take the negative log of the top one and over the log of the bottom one. Okay. So negative log of 0.083792 divided by log of 1.016658. There, this whole thing, 150 point something. Okay, so about 150 payments. Just slightly over 150 payments. What it would take. Any help finding log on your calculator or anything? All right, so how long? We could say 150 months, but most of us wouldn't talk about it that way. We would figure out how many years that would be in this case. So that would be 12 and a half years. 12 and a half years. So for our $2,200 computer, we're making payments for 12 and a half years. Okay. And that doesn't sound like a great deal to me. Part B makes that even more clear. Part B asks us how much we end up paying. Okay, so we're making 150 payments, $40. So part B, we just multiply. $40 per payment times 150 payments. That is $6,000. So not only are we making payments for 12 and a half years, but we end up paying $6,000 for a $2,200 computer. So not that great. $40 payment is not how we would want to go about that. Okay? And one thing to mention here, 19.99% is really not even that unreasonable for a lot of credit cards. Yeah, so. Yeah, so you hit log. Yeah, so you hit the minus sign. Let's see. I think you just do negative on here and then do the log button. And then just put the number in. Did you find it? Didn't get those numbers? Okay, so what I'm typing, I'm doing 1 minus 0.1999 divided by 12 times 2,200 divided by 40. Yeah, so that gives me this number. Right. And then you do negative log of that over log of the bottom. That's what I was doing. You can put it in all at once, but if you have a little screen, it's Hard.
Half days too, right?
Uh-huh.
And then when people try to do it together.
Okay. Try one
They do.
more time. I think you got the same number. The top number is 0.10. Maybe that's it. So try that and let me know. Yeah. Hey, anybody else? Try it one more time. Oh, okay. So that's taking your answer and doing subtracting it from your previous answer. So, oh, there's your negative button right there. So hit that and then do the log. Yeah, that's what it was probably. Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. So that one is probably the trickiest to put in a calculator out of all of them we'll have in this chapter. So. Okay, so I won't make you punch this one. Okay, I won't make you calculate it, but let's look at what would happen if instead of making $40 payments every month, we made $80 payments every month. So we just double our payment. Okay. So if we double our payment to $80 a month, how long is it going to take us? It's going to take about 37 months. That's a lot better than 150. Okay. So that's a little over 3 years instead of 12 and a half. And then how much do we end up paying if we pay $80 a month? And then we end up paying $2,960, okay, which is much better than $6,000 for the thing. So the amount you pay every month on a credit card makes a big difference. That's a little more reasonable. I still would not want to take 3 years to pay off a computer. Okay. Computer might not even be working by then. But paying $760 in interest, that's on the high side, okay? But it's a lot better than paying $3,800 interest, right? That's more than the computer was even worth. So that is how credit card companies make money. Okay? They don't let you charge stuff to lose money. They let you charge stuff for them to make money. So you just have to be careful. Be careful with credit cards. Okay. There's the payment formula, or how many payments formula. Let's look at a couple more vocabulary terms here. Most loans for big purchases are what we call a fixed installment loan. It's where we have a fixed interest rate and we're paying the same amount every month. Okay. There are installment loans that don't have fixed interest as well. We're just going to look at the fixed interest ones. And let's see. This last term you've probably seen before, maybe or heard before, but I got in here just in case. That's down payment. So if you hear somebody talk about a down payment, that's just where you pay for part of the price up front and then you finance the rest. Okay, you're not financing the entire price. Making a cash payment up front and then financing the rest. Okay. So those terms, let's look at a couple more formulas here. So this one is for us to calculate what the monthly payment on the loan would be. Okay, so if we take a loan out for a certain amount, that's what we're calling P, our principal amount. Okay. And we're financing it at a certain interest rate for a certain number of years. How much will our monthly payment be? Okay. This one's not as bad as the one with the logs, okay, especially You don't really need these brackets here. They just got them there for clarity. It doesn't look so bad if you get rid of that set of brackets. One thing to be very careful of, though, this is our only formula we have like this, that we have had like this. The exponent down here is not just n times t, it's negative n times t. Okay, so we've got a minus sign in the exponent there that you do not want to overlook. Okay. So, use this one. We're going to buy a car now. Okay. Or Kelly's going to buy a car. It says Kelly wishes to purchase a new car. The car she's chosen has a price of $34,000, including taxes and fees. She chooses to make a down payment of 20% of the price and wants to finance the remainder. If Kelly has acquired an APR of 3.99% for a 72-month loan, what's the amount of her monthly payment? So on these, the first thing we need to do is we need to subtract off the down payment. Because there's no interest on the down payment part, and so we get to just subtract it. So say she's going to pay 20% down payment, so we can figure out how much that's going to be. We do 0.2 times 34,000. Okay. And that gives us a down payment of $6,800. Then we take the price of the car and we just subtract that $6,800 away to figure out how much we're going to finance. So this is the amount that we're going to finance, or the amount we're going to borrow money for. Okay. So in our formula, that amount that we're financing, that's going to be T. Other things we need, we got the APR. So we change that to a decimal. So R will be 0.0399. And taking our loan for 72 months. So we take 72 months and divide by 12 months in a year. It tells us we're going to be taking our loan for 6 years, or that T will be 6. And we're making monthly payments, so N will be 12. Okay. So then we can plug into this thing. Trying to calculate our payment. So that's P, which was, what was it? 27,200 times R over N. 0.0399 over 12. That's the top of our formula. Then on the bottom, I have 1 minus 1 plus R over N, so 0.0399 over 12. But then it's raised to the negative NT power, so to the negative 12 times 6 years power. This one, if you really want to, you can type it in all at once. I'm going to do the top and then the bottom and then divide. So again, I'm going to leave several decimal places here. So let's see, 27,200 times 0.0399 divided by 12. On the top, this one's not too bad. It comes out exactly to 90.44. bottom, I have 1 minus, then I'm going to put a parenthesis, 1 plus 0.0399 divided by 12. And I'm going to raise my set of parentheses to the negative 12 times 6 power. Now when we do get a long decimal, I get 0.212587. If you want to be extra safe, you can leave more decimal places. 6 works on this one. And so our payment, if we do that calculation, 90.44 divided by that big long decimal, get that car payment here will be $425, and it rounds to 43 cents per month. $422. Here's one where you can see what you typed in. Yeah. That's okay. Sure what happened on that. Yes, times 6 and everything. Oh, I see what it was. You only did 27,000 instead of 27,200. Ah, so just a little tiny mistake. Yeah. So that extra $200 is going to cost you extra $2 a month. Other questions on that one? Anybody else have any other issues? Okay. Okay. Yes. All right, one more time. We'll check it out. All right. So there's our car payment. Okay. Now let's buy a house. The numbers down. Make sure if you got them. Okay. All right. On this one, it says William and Helen are preparing to buy a new home. They've saved $21,300 for a down payment. Pretty impressive. The total price of the house is $131,800, including taxes and fees. We want to find their monthly mortgage payment. If the fixed interest rate is 3.52% for a 30-year loan. Okay. So again, the first thing we want to do is we want to subtract our down payment from the cost, because we don't have to finance that part. So we'll subtract our $21,300, figure out how much we're financing. Okay, so we're going to finance $110,500. Okay. Let's see, T is 30. Or we change it to a decimal, 0.0352. And then we're going to be making monthly payments again, so N will be 12. I think N is 12 on all of these. Okay. So plugging in these numbers, see what we get. So our payment is $110,500 times 0.0352 over 12. And on the bottom, got 1 minus 1 plus 0.0352 over 12 is a negative 12 times 30-year mortgage, so times 30 power. Let's see, on the top, this time it doesn't come out quite as nice and neat. Get 324.1333333, so I'm gonna leave several of these 3's that are repeating there. And on the bottom, let's see, 1 minus 1 plus 0.92. Gotta raise it to the negative 12 times 30 power. On the bottom, I'm gonna leave 6 decimal places again. Oh, let's see what we end up with. $497, and that rounds to 43 cents. Not bad at all for a house payment. A big part of that is it had a really nice down payment. Do you have any luck on that other one? No? Okay, we'll check it before we go. So, got one other situation here. You don't always have to have a 30-year mortgage on a house. Okay. The other popular links there will be 15, and then I've seen some lenders lately that have started doing kind of in between where they'll do a 20-year. Okay. So a shorter term means you're going to have a higher payment, but a shorter term also means that you end up paying less interest. So it saves you money in the long run at the expense of having to make a higher monthly payment. Okay, so I'm not going to make you calculate this one. Okay, we'll just look at it. But if we change this mortgage from a 30-year mortgage to a 15-year mortgage, what would it be? One moment. I thought I had this one already, sorry. Okay. So what would happen there is if we did a 15-year, the payment would be $791.03. But okay, that looks terrible, right? It looks like why would anybody want to do a shorter term there? But the reason why, okay, is that you end up paying less interest. So you end up paying less total money if you do a shorter term than you do if you do a longer term. Okay. Okay. So we could one second. So we'd end up paying, about $142,000 on the 15, and we'd end up paying about $180,000 on the 30, okay, total. So that's the difference there. Okay. Gonna look on that one. All right, we'll figure it out. Okay, one more formula. We'll be done. It's the last formula, the whole semester, whole class. One more. And it's not any worse than this one. It's just rearranged a little bit. And it's maybe a little bit more interesting than what we're calculating. So here we've just rearranged that formula a little bit, and what we're doing is we're figuring out if I can afford to make a payment of some amount of dollars. And so if I can afford a $600 a month payment, how much house can I afford? What's my maximum purchase price? Okay. Okay, so all the variables are the same. We've just got things flipped around. Well, instead of P, we're calling it our maximum purchase price. Okay. I'll give you a second to finish getting that written down, the ones of you that want it. Okay. So what we're going to do with this one, we're going to look at a fairly unrealistic situation and then figure out what the maximum home price is that they can afford. And you'll see what's going on here. Let's take a look. And it says, suppose you recently graduated from college and want to purchase a house. Your take-home pay is $3,220 per month. So that's really good for take-home pay, especially to be an entry-level job. So we're in good shape there. It says we want to stay within the recommended guidelines for a mortgage by only spending 25% of our take-home pay on a house payment. Okay, so there are guidelines there. It's a range of values. It doesn't have to be exactly 25%. But you don't want to go over a certain amount of your net income, and you don't want to have a certain amount of your income going toward total debt in order to be able to afford a house. We're going with 25% here. And it says we have $15,300 saved for a down payment somehow. Okay. I don't know exactly how we've been able to set that aside while we were going to school. We're just in good shape. That's what I'm saying, a little unrealistic here. But we figured out we can get an APR of 3.37%. We want to know how much house we can afford. How much house can we afford? Okay, we've got two terms here. We're going to look at 15 and 30 year. We're going to calculate the 15 year, and then we'll just look at the 30 year. This is the one I thought we were wrong. And so we'll let T be 15. Okay. So first thing here, we don't have to worry about the down payment until the end in this case. So what we'll do is what we're figuring out, our maximum purchase price is really the maximum amount we can afford to finance. So whatever that number is, we can add the $15,300 to it. That would be our down payment. But we do need to figure out what 25% of our take-home pay is. That's how much we can afford to pay every month. So need to do the 3220. That's 0.25. Okay. There we get, we're staying in these guidelines. We're saying we can afford to pay $805 per month. So that would be PMT. Okay. And we'll plug in the rest. Okay, so plugging into our formula, we take our 805 payment. We're going to multiply that by a big ugly fraction. So on the top, we've got 1 minus 1 plus R, 3.37%, so 0.0337 over 12. The negative 12 times, we're doing 15 years on this one. These 15 over 0.0337 over 12. Okay. So I'm going to figure out the top first. on the top. On this one's a little more sensitive about rounding too early, so I'm going to keep 8 decimal places here. At 0.39636859. And on the bottom, I have 0.0028083, something like that. Okay. So 805 times 0.39636859 divided by 0.0028083. I get, make sure that came out right. Almost. Let's see, I'm a little bit off here. Let me check. Okay, so either we need to keep some extra decimal places, or I think what I'll do instead, sorry about that, is I'll just do the 805 times the decimal and then divided by the bottom part. That's not too hard to type in. So I'm gonna do 805 times 0.39636859 and then divided by parenthesis 0.0037 divided by 12, close parenthesis. There. Uh-oh. I'm still not coming around. Let me try the top one more time. Aren't you glad this is the last one? 1 minus 1 plus 0.337 by 12. Yeah, okay, so you might just have to leave, if you're gonna write it down, you might just have to leave more decimal places on the top, because I left it in there this time. It comes out 2, but it should be, anyway. $113,617.82. Yeah. So, like I said, this one's more sensitive about decimal places, so on the top, maybe I need a couple more places. Thought that worked earlier when I left 8. Okay, that's not our final answer. That's not how much house. Because, well, we got one more thing to do. We've got our down payment. Our down payment was $15,300 that we had saved up. So the total amount of house that we can afford, $128,917.82. And then one more thing to look at. We don't have to do any more calculations. Okay, one more thing to look at. It's what if we did a 30-year mortgage. Okay, that's going to let us, for the same payment every month, that's going to let us afford finance a larger amount at the expense of having to pay more interest. So if we go for the 30-year one, then that will allow us to finance $182,201. Okay. So it bumps up the amount of house we can afford quite a bit, but we're going to end up paying a lot more interest. So you have to weigh the cost and benefit of that, plus down payment. Questions on those? If you have calculator issues, hang around, I'll help. Okay. Yep. All right, that's it. Okay. I will probably have the practice test posted this afternoon. Okay, review day will be Monday, and then next Wednesday will be test 3. Okay. If you didn't get on the sign-in sheet, make sure you got on there. And I'm coming to help.